If you're looking at the short picture of what people will come back and versus that person going and telling two or three more people that they actually helped me rather than them saying, oh no, this place doesn't help. I just had to go back here, but it's comfortable, right? It,
Mhm.
I'm not going to trade that one for the three new ones I can get. Everybody who works for us has had the experiences that our clients are going through. So you're not talking from something you read out a book. You're not talking from something you took a course on one time. You're talking from a lived experience that you can genuinely use to help someone else out.
Welcome to the Brainwaves podcast by Opus, where we sit down with industry leaders to unpack their journeys, explore key challenges, and talk about how they're shaping the future of behavioral health and healthcare technology. I'm your host, Sean Rickenbacker. Our guest is someone who has walked the hard road of addiction and emerged to lead one of Arizona's fastest growing recovery organizations. Wade Muhlhauser is the founder and CEO of Plugged In Recovery, a luxury rehab and sober living network based in Scottsdale, Arizona. After overcoming his own 2-decade battle with opioid addiction during a period of homelessness, Wade turned personal adversity into a mission. Since 2022, he has grown Plugged In from a single sober living home to a continuum of care with more than a dozen homes and a residential treatment center. His approach combines clinical care with upscale amenities and a strong sense of community. In this episode, we will talk about his story, how Plugged In is redefining the recovery experience, and what it takes to grow a values-driven organization. Wade, thanks again for being on the show with me. To begin, can you share some of your story and the experiences that inspired you to build Plugged In Recovery?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I'm super grateful for being here and for the relationship that, over the course of the last couple months that you and me have been able to build. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Come from a very small Midwest town. I'm just on the outskirts of St. Cloud. And I had a pretty normal childhood growing up. It was nothing super out of the ordinary. Was super successful in sports, which were always kind of the good old boy pats on the back because I did really well at those things, right? A couple of Babe Ruth Little League World Series that I got to go to. A lot of things that, seem to be going out the right way. And shortly after my sophomore year of high school, I had a pretty nasty football injury where my spleen got thrown into my spine. And that was the start of me getting on any type of painkillers or using anything like that, right? But pre that, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't that just wasn't who I was. I was so focused on sports, but when that happened, I had not only got introduced to pain medication, but my parents, within a 3-month span, went through a pretty nasty divorce. And in that divorce, it wasn't because I was unloved or anything like that. It was actually the opposite. Is I was so loved by both parents that if I wasn't going to be with one, I wasn't going to be with the other one. And here I am as a finishing out my sophomore year of high school, and I got sent to foster care. And so it wasn't that, again, it was like I could be humble about it. I was very good in all these other areas in my life, but I really felt it as this humiliation, this deep internal humiliation of like what my life was going and turning into. And that's when I really leaned into the drugs and the alcohol and specifically the painkillers. Fast forward into my adult years and the habits have just progressed, right? I'm playing amateur baseball. I'm doing tons of Oxycontin. Oxycontin no longer is around. A friend says, why don't you try this? That leads to heroin. And I'm off to the races in that respect. Now, shortly thereafter, I was trying to get sober. I had all of these things in my life that were by this age, I'm going to clean up my act. And by this age, I'm going to clean up my act. And by this age, I'm going to get a house and marry the girl and do these types of things. And unfortunately, those days were coming and going. And I was stuck in the same place, which was with this just crazy heroin addiction that I couldn't get rid of. But it was so weird to me because in every other aspect of my life, I had always been able to put my mind to whatever I wanted to achieve, and I got it every single time. But there was this one area that no matter what I did, no matter how I exerted myself, I just couldn't figure it out. And so we're about 2 months away from my wedding, and I start looking around seriously for some help. Like I need to go to treatment. I need more than what I'm doing because this ain't working out. And I remember I picked up the phone and I had called the number that I found on Google and I get this guy on the other line, and he's like, "Great, you want treatment today? We would love to help you. you can go here, here, and here. And I'd be lying if I told you the exact states, but it's like Tennessee, Texas, and California. It was all across
Yeah.
the United States. And I was like, no, 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 like you don't get it. I'm this Midwest Minnesota boy. I'm supposed to get married in 2 months. Like I want to stay home. And he's like, oh, no, no, no. Like I can't send you home. There's nothing around you. You got to go here, here, here. And so I didn't seek help that day. I, hung up the phone and was pretty frustrated by the situation. And about 3 weeks later, my life falls apart naturally, just getting tight at just the wrong time and exactly how the book talks about. And I end up going into the treatment, and my parents send me down to Arizona to my first treatment center. So I go through treatment in this treatment center, and I'm like frustrated by this entire experience because now obviously I'm not going to get married in a month, and all of these secrets just start coming out. And I'm looking up online during my 30 minutes of phone time that I get. And I don't know if it was like set geographically with the SEO or the ad or sponsored ad, or maybe when I was high, I just clicked the wrong ad. But I found that there was a treatment center I could have went to that was like 8 miles away from where I lived. And what really frustrated me about that entire situation was when I called that person on the other line of the phone to get help, that person didn't say, are you getting married? What do you struggle with? Are you, gay, straight? By what, none of those things. They didn't care about me. It was like, what insurance do you have? You can go here, 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 regardless of what it does to your life. And at that point, I knew like the system could be different, right? And so I graduated that program. Unfortunately, it didn't stick the first time. It didn't stick the second time or third time. I ended up going in and out, and actually led to some homelessness here in Arizona. But I started the Facebook pages and the Instagram page of Plugged In Recovery. And I really started this idea that I knew could be something special for people like me. And I think how God was working in my life is I needed to have a lot more different experiences. So I was qualified to help different people on different walks of their life. So I got into the tech space, and I was working at GoDaddy, and I got super successful there. And now I had really good commercial insurance again. So now I'm going to those types of treatment centers. And from the homelessness to being on like state level, and then the GoDaddy contract where I was working and being able to go to like the nicest of the nice facilities. I wanted to build a place for someone who's just like me. And I started at the ground floor. I built our first sober living in 2022. One led to four in about a 6 month period of time, which led to, nine in about a 18-month period of time, which led to, 14, and then opening up the treatment center here. And we just opened up our new outpatient in May. And it's been explosive growth. We're now looking into some adolescent programs, adding a detox program. It's really cool to see what just someone with good intentions trying to help other people, knowing that I have built a really good team around me, how much a community can rally behind someone and really help them. I tell people all the time, like, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world because like things just continually happen at the right time for me. Even the bad things that I think are going to be the worst ever end up being the right thing at the right time
Yeah.
for me. And it's crazy how that works today.
Totally get that. Totally. And I appreciate the insight into your journey and plugged in recovery. I imagine that a lot of people that start recovery centers have been through recovery. That's what we see a lot of times on the show, but yeah, it touches home for me, hearing about, when you said you had that initial intake and they were like, what insurance do you have? You can go here, here, and here. It wasn't necessarily about the care. It was kind of about like, where's the money coming from, sort of thing, not where's the best spot to have you in your situation with your familial ties and where you live. If it was about like, oh, we can ship you here and try it out, see if it works. Especially, like you said, you've been through multiple recoveries. It took a few till they stuck. It should be a matter of getting the right care to the patient at the right time.
Exactly.
Obviously, our audience is going to be super interested in the growth, but tell me, with plugged in recovery, like, what were some hurdles you had to jump into when you started that first sober living home in 2022?
Yeah, I can definitely speak on that. I mean, the biggest hurdles were I came from the tech space, right? And I'm someone who, being a drug addict, didn't wasn't qualified to run, therapists and doctors and or anything like that. So licensing, zoning, compliance measures, any of those things. But I knew I really wanted to learn and I knew my heart was in the right place. And so the biggest hurdles were really just spending the time on my after my 9 to 5 hours working on my passion and my dream and learning how do you get a house zone? How do you get a house license? What is a policy and procedure? What is like an actual policy and procedure for this look like? What safety measures do you have to have in place? What kind of Narcan? What kind of all of the things? And those were some hurdles because there were a lot of money spent on things that I didn't need and maybe doing
Yep.
things the wrong way. So the first house cost me, I always tell people that just in the learning lesson, probably double what all the other houses after that cost me. But those were the hurdles early on was just, I'm someone who didn't know anything about this space, didn't know how to do it. I looked at myself as, just a junkie who came from the streets that was making really good money selling stuff in the tech world and had a passion for helping people. But I had this firm belief in me that as long as I kept my intentions of doing the right thing, that somehow everything else would work itself out.
Absolutely. I love that. And obviously, people who listen to the show hear me talk about this all the time, but there's definitely, I think, a lot of value in that authenticity. What is true to me and my values, true to my personal mission. And, success comes after that. Like you said, you feel like you're the luckiest guy in the world because the right things happen at the right time. I believe wholeheartedly that if you are invested in doing what you believe is the right thing, things will work out.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. It's the law of nature, right? That what I'm putting out is going to come back. And sometimes when I can take a step back from the weeds, I can see that this thing I think is the biggest problem in front of me is so minuscule in the greater picture. And then some of the things that are really these big picture items, when I'm too zoomed in close, I don't get to see the beauty on it because I'm not focused on that.
Absolutely. It's definitely a matter of taking a step back and appreciating the progress you've made. Like you said, you felt like you were just a junkie who didn't know anything. And then you spend the 5 to 9 after the 9 to 5 learning how to do the things, how to run the organization because you believe in it and you believe in that mission. And then things scale. I love that.
Facts. And it's cool because I see a lot of owners who are in this space and some of them make lots and lots of money and which is okay, right? If you're doing all the right things, like and the money comes, but you're in it not to go broke, right? Or to starve. But they're people who are the most uneducated on, prisoners, ex-felons, ex all of the things. And like they produce more good in this world today than like an average person has produced in a lifetime. And it's so cool to see that miracle happen each and every day.
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely love that. I think, there is that once you know all of the terrible parts of life and you've been through the roller coaster, you've got all this experience and that empathy to share with other people. And, they bring so much good because of it. So love that.
It's the
Absolutely.
synchronicity in it all.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that we talked about, Plugged In's got crazy explosive growth. What's the differentiator there? Obviously, a lot of people are looking to scale, but what's helped Plugged In to make that leap?
I think it's a multitude of things, right? Every single person that I'm sure you talk to, if you ask them that, they're going to say, "Well, it's the people. It's the people, my culture, my people." But everybody in the world has people, right? Everybody has people in their business. I think for us, it truly is our attention to detail to the customer experience. From the very beginning that you take the phone call and what that admission looks like to the time you leave our facility, there is nothing but handoffs and making sure that your needs are met, right? When somebody comes into our doors, they're asked, what's your favorite chocolate bar? What's your favorite snack? What drink do you like? And we have like a little gift basket with those things there. People are going through the scariest time of their life when they're trying to get sober in any way, shape, or form. So having something at the beginning, being able to like tangibly affect if this person listened to what I like. This person's trying to create some small bit of comfort that's a differentiator for me. Another thing is like our social media, how we're out there and open. I do TikTok lives all the time. I do Instagrams. I do short little videos, short form videos. I have some of my employees do the exact same thing. They know when they walk in the door and they see me Monday through Friday exactly where I'm headed over to the center right after we get done with this call and I come in with my smiling face, they've already seen me online. They've already seen Lexi in a sit down interview. So when she does their client care experience, that's what we call it when they walk through the doors. They know the ladybug. We call her the little ladybug. They've already seen her face, right? She's this little ball of energy. So it's those little touch points along the way that make sure the customer needs are getting met. And then, we speak truth, and we only speak truth, and we do it with love. And we're not always polite, right? Because we
Yeah.
don't always need people to be polite. We need them to be real with us and
Yep.
truthful with us. So
Absolutely.
telling family members, telling the clients, telling them like, hey man, like your way is not working. That's why you're here with me. So maybe we give up to this old ideas of all these different ways you're going to change your life, and you just take some direction, but you can't get to what I call a spiritual consent there unless they trust you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that it sounds like Plugged In not only listens, very transparent with, hey, this is who we are. This is why we do these things. We care about you as a patient. We're going to listen to your needs, but we want to help you. And maybe the way that you had tried this previously isn't the way. So that's why we're here. We are, we've been in your shoes. We are working to actively help you to see a brighter future.
And that is exactly it. I am overstaffed, which is a terrible business model for anybody getting into this, right? But what it is it allows me to give a little bit more patient centered care. Everybody who works for us has had the experiences that our clients are going through. So you're not talking from something you read out a book. You're not talking from something you took a course on one time. You're talking from a lived experience that you can genuinely use to help someone else out. So when the patients know that you understand exactly what not only you're talking about, but what they feel like in their heart, right? You can hit them here. That's how you can create that change in them. And that's how they'll get that trust for you to really be able to help them. There's also a respect of we have to know we're not for everybody and can't help everyone, right? I have a little bit of the comfort stuff. Like we have a lot of the modern modalities, cold plunges, red light saunas, the gym memberships. We allow all technology at our facility because it's 2025. I don't
Yep.
understand why. It's just, this is what it is, right? But at the same time, we are not going to be able to help someone who's extremely schizophrenic, who's doing that. We don't have that experience. And there's facilities for that person. And I think you get a lot of treatment center owners that are so concerned with the growth and so concerned with just that revenue piece that they don't realize that that one person can disrupt a milieu of 8 other people that have a bad experience. And now you're trying to help everyone when you should be kind of subsecting who you're best at helping.
Absolutely. And it's very much good business advice across the board, not just in the recovery behavioral health space. I love that, like you said, you have to be real with the patients. You also have to be real with yourself as a business, real with yourself as an employer, as an employee, understanding what your strengths are and leaning into those rather than trying to be something that everybody can benefit from. If your target audience is everyone, your target audience is no one, right?
Yes. Yes. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yep.
Doesn't work for anybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know I've met some of the team at Plugged In. I met Scott. He told
Yeah.
me that you guys were, if I remember correctly, your respective wives were best friends, or is that right?
Yeah. So a girlfriend of mine and his wife were best friends.
Hmm.
So that's how we had made that introduction. And it's cool because he's got to see me from the beginning when I was still working at the tech company to like slowly building this thing out. And last year we had gotten back together and sat down, and I was running into, which is another thing I tell people when you're trying to start a sober living or start a house or a treatment center or any kind of business, right?
Mhm.
Somebody has been where you are before. Go to that person and ask them for advice because they can get you to that answer a lot faster than you can finding it at a much less cost. And I was running into some roadblocks, particularly with some tech stack stuff and some systems and operations in piece. Like, again, when we talk about who we're best serving, I also know what I'm best at doing as a CEO and founder of this company. And a lot of it is not getting in the weeds of my accounting stuff and my tech stacks and all of these system backend processes. If this does this, shoot an email here, blah, 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 right? Like I don't do that. And so I'm running into him and I'm having these like conversations and I'm like, man, like I'm getting inundated. And I could feel my vision was like, I only can see here and I need someone else who can also see this way. Right.
Yeah.
And we're having that conversation and Scott ended up joining the team and he had seen what we were doing and maybe the little roadblocks that were happening for a little bit more explosive growth. He's also built and sold multiple different companies himself. So with a long-term game of someone who can make sure all of our things are structurally sound in place, it seemed like a no-brainer for both of us. And it gave me that other lens of I know recovery. He doesn't know recovery the way I know recovery, but he also knows business the way I don't know business.
Yeah.
Right. So it really is a perfect relationship between the two of us.
Love that. Love that. And it's like you said earlier, everybody's got people. It's a matter of having the right people that make up for any weaknesses you have. Like you said, you know recovery more than he does. He knows the business, and you're able to complement each other in that regard. So
Facts.
love that. Love that. Who, I guess, I know you said you're overstaffed. Is it more of a family business that you've got a bunch of your friends and family in it, or is it just a lot of people that you met in recovery?
It's a lot of people I met in recovery. It is oddly enough people who used to be individuals at other treatment centers who helped me along my recovery path. The beauty of being a chronic relapser myself is I went to a lot of different facilities and I saw a lot of different programs. And when I was starting this and really sitting down with a lot of my prospective employees, right, they knew that I wanted to build plugged in differently. They knew I was setting up that we have a kind of a profit share system. So we give back to employees that everybody wins together. And so I was kind of able to hand pick the best of the best from different treatment centers, which didn't make a lot of friends early on in the
Yeah.
treatment space, right? When you're stealing their best employees. But at the end of the day, a lot of people could get behind because they knew the type of people we were hiring, right? They all knew they were quality individuals that were upstanding in the community, that their words followed their actions. And a lot of people want to get behind that, as frustrated as they can be that they're leaving their company. So, yeah, when I say we're overstaffed, it's our person to our employee to client ratio in this industry, seeing a 1 to 7 to, 1 to 10 is pretty standard. You'll never see us under 2 to 5. And a lot of times it's somewhere in the 4 to 10 range, or 5 to 10 range. That's just when you do that, people don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
You
I love
know,
that.
we only get you for 30 days time in an inpatient setting and another 90 days period of time after that. So in the outpatient setting, it's like we really want to make the most use of that time because as lucrative as it is for someone to get out, have a week sober, relapse, and come right back to you, you're not helping that family. You're not helping that person. There's another chance that that person doesn't make it ever back to you, right? It's a dangerous game that you play. And I see other treatment centers play to try to get that short term revenue right back into their door. Our goal is to help people, and I don't ever want to see them back. What my goal is that they tell a person that tells a person that tells a person that, like, if I had to send a family member somewhere, I would send them to Wade down in Arizona.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it goes back to what you said about making sure people have quality care, they're getting the care that they need rather than like care that's lucrative. Like you said, if they come back in a week, a month, etc., that's more revenue. But focusing on doing the right thing, giving the right care is what's scaled plugged in, it sounds like.
Very much so. Very much so. And again, if you're looking at the short picture of what people will come back and versus that person going and telling two or three more people that they actually helped me rather than them saying, oh no, this place doesn't help. I just had to go back here, but it's comfortable, right? I'm not going to trade that one for the three new ones I could get.
Love that. It sounds like at Plugged In, you've got an awesome culture. Obviously, you mentioned the Ladybug, and we've talked about you and Scott and the other members of Plugged In. How have you gone about cultivating a culture that is so cohesive?
It's not always the easiest functionality, right? You have to toe the line between being one big happy family and someone who is constantly trying to level each other up. But we have very honest conversations the same way we do with our clients as we do with each other, right? If we see someone, and they all know this, if they see someone in our organization who is, let's just say, acting a fool outside the organization, we're going to have a sit down talk about that, right? Because like we represent not only recovery, but we represent plugged in recovery everywhere that we go. And we don't want someone's only viewpoint of maybe AA or the 12 steps or us or recovery or getting sober to be a bad experience if it was through one of us. So it is really having honest, truthful conversations. It's L10s on a weekly basis that are not just your fluff meetings, but really having truthful, honest, tough conversations. We really believe in, which we've kind of had a cool exercise where we were all putting band-aids up on a whiteboard and then everybody's band-aid had a name on it. And it's like, okay, rip your band-aid off today. What do you need to tell someone in this room to rip the Band-Aid off? And we have little experiences like that, and we have a lot of fun. We go do, go-karting and other events to kind of team build, but it helps that this culture we've created really existed in our recovery community free plugged in coming along. Like this isn't anything that I have a patent on or anything like that. It's something that I got to plug right into and just use to try to kind of exceed to a higher level.
I love that. And it sounds like, a lot of team building and a lot of people that are willing to work together. Like you said, a lot of people that are willing to have those tough, honest conversations, rip the Band-Aid off, like you said, but you're all invested in the same mission, helping people.
That's what it's all about.
Love that. Love that. Tell me what's next for Plugged In? Obviously, you scaled quite a bit. We talked previously about going to TCIV West in December. What's next?
So we have TCIV West in November. If you're not there, definitely go get your tickets now. I'm on the advisory board, so that's my one plug for Miranda there. It's you guys are speaking now on a panel, so we'll have a incredible lineup. But we're in heavy growth mode. We're looking at opening up a second residential center. We're also looking into a detox and maybe an in-network facility. And then I really have had a couple people recently join our team who's passionate about adolescent care and adolescent health. That is a greatly underserved population in our community. There's still a lot of testing that needs to be done as far as the best way to serve some of these individuals. And so their hearts are really on doing that, right? And doing it correctly. I really do see us also probably jumping into the adolescent space sooner rather than.
It's awesome. Obviously, like you said earlier, focus on how you can help the best and focus on what your strengths are. But now that you have those people on who have that experience with adolescence, it's time to expand a little bit. I love that. Absolutely. And
100%.
I do want to ask as a final question, I always ask this, regardless of who I
Mhm.
talk to. Do you have any book recommendations?
It's funny you say that right on my desk right now. I'm reading Good to Great.
Good to great.
Yeah.
I was reading that when we were in Cape Cod. So yeah, I know exactly what you're reading right now.
Good to Great is probably my favorite recommendation. And then the last one I just read was by I was just turning around to see it was still there. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time.
Mm. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. Tell me more about that book.
So this book is specifically anybody can use it, but I really think for leaders, it teaches you how to really time audit yourself and to see what tasks you're spending the most amount of time on. And how is that drive? First of all, is it lighting you up inside so you feel good and you're doing more of it? Or is it driving your business, your life, your family, your personal life, spiritual life, whatever that is, in the directions that you want to be driving it in? I know for me, I can go through a mind numbing amount of emails. And is that really the best use of my time? Right. Or is me having an assistant that I pay $15 or whatever it is in the 1 hour I have her to spend 50 or 30 minutes of that going through my emails? Is that a better use of 1 hour of her time that I pay her $30 an hour and she spends the 15 for a half hour going through my emails? Or is it better spent on me because I can use that 30 minutes? Not only will it put me in a better headspace, but I can use it to drive the business forward or to go be with clients or to do things that light me up, that re-energize me and give me more energy to drive the business. So Buy Back Your Time was really good. I have a lot of strategies in place that I've taken from it, a lot of blueprints, finding out what level I'm currently at with my time and where I want to drive it to, and then really figuring out like how much is my time worth, right? What is an hour of Wade's time worth? Actually doing? Is it worth $20 an hour? Is it worth $500 an hour? And if it's only worth $20 an hour, why is it not worth $500 an hour? Right? That means I'm working on the wrong things.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And super insightful. Like we've talked about across the board, a lot of the stuff that you said is very good business advice, regardless of the space. Honestly, Wade, super appreciate your insights. Love the time that we've had to chat. I think you have an awesome story and an awesome organization that our audience will love listening to. Of
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad we got to do this.
course.